Chelsea Football Club will submit a £120 million bid for Enzo Fernandez. Arsenal's second bid of £70 million for Caicedo has been rejected, but Arsenal are not walking away. Big updates on Tottenham's move for Pedro Porro as a deal is reported as off by David Ornstein, but Fabrizio says that talks are still ongoing. And Manchester United, could they be in to sign a central midfielder to replace the injured Christian Eriksen? All that and much, much more on the Done Deal show this morning. Let's go. Tottenham's move for Pedro Porro is off after Sporting Lisbon re-edged on terms of the proposed deal. The 23-year-old is distraught after Sporting Lisbon president told the right wing back that following Saturday's League Cup final, he would be allowed to leave. This is the breaking news this morning that has not only broken the heart, seemingly, of Pedro Porro, but of Tottenham fans all around the world. Fabrizio reported this deal being a full verbal agreement, player flying to London Sunday night, paperwork ready to be signed, essentially a deal that would complete, and the world believed it. There were some early reports at the weekend that this deal could fall through, and it has indeed, according to David Ornstein, happened. However, Fabrizio Romano has said that Tottenham are still working to resolve the issues and to get the Pedro Porro deal done. All parties are in contact. Hector Bellerin to Sporting Lisbon deal depends on Porro to Spurs. One more to watch in the final hours of this window. And what is very intriguing about this is the nature of why. Why has this deal fallen through? Essentially, it comes down to around 3 million euros. At the 11th hour, Sporting Lisbon have said we want an extra 3 million euros. That's it. That is what they've gone back on. So now it's down to Tottenham. Do we want to pay the extra money? This is very normal in the sales process of businesses. I did it myself when buying a house at the 11th hour. I said I couldn't afford it, and I ended up getting myself circa £10,000, maybe even a little bit more off the asking price. This happens in many, many business deals and will continue to happen in transfer deals moving forward. The deals can be done but still fall through until the contracts are signed. But the question is to you, the viewers, do you think Spurs will get this deal complete? Do you think Spurs will get this deal over the line? I want your thoughts and I want your feelings, especially from you, the Tottenham fans. Now, staying in North London, the situation with Caicedo needs to be updated on today. Here is a report from David Ornstein. He says that Brighton dismissed it as irrelevant because they insist Moises Caicedo is not for sale and going nowhere. During dialogue between the two clubs, Brighton have made their position clear, but Arsenal's interest remains. So we know that a £70 million bid was put in for Moises Caicedo last night. That was immediately rejected by Brighton. Brighton are standing strong publicly, and they're telling every journalist that calls them that no amount of money is going to get rid of this player. But Arsenal haven't walked away as of recording this right now, fairly early on Monday morning, the 30th of January, 2023. Arsenal haven't walked away. Arsenal haven't pulled out. Arsenal may submit another bid. There is confidence that they will do this. How high will they go? There remains the question. And I've kept myself very open-minded on this deal. I don't see how there's a way back for Moises Caicedo after his public transfer request. His representation are pushing hard for this deal. They are clearly giving Arsenal encouragement that there is a way to get this done. Now, the player wants to join Arsenal and or another big club, but Arsenal are the preference of the player. Personal terms are no problem. Moises Caicedo has agreed via intermediaries personal terms with Arsenal. It is a huge pay increase, huge bonuses, and of course the opportunity to win major trophies as well, which will always bring in more money. Caicedo goes from being a known Premier League player to a global superstar by joining Arsenal, and the riches and rewards that come with that. Caicedo wants that move. He is pushing for it hard. The next 24 to 36 hours is going to be very intriguing indeed up until the window closes. Will Arsenal submit another bid today? Many believe they will. The fact that the first two have been rejected a isn't something to be too deterred about as a Gooner. Arsenal are never just going to go jump up to 90 million and just pay it, but they might be able to get the player for 80. They are working on this deal. They are working with the player and they are pushing to get this done. Equally, Brighton are remaining resolute. Brighton don't want this to happen. But I think what Arsenal fans have got to be encouraged about is the Arsenal not walking away. Arsenal remain interested. Arsenal haven't changed their minds. And I think Gooners very much want this deal to go through. I think Gooners understand the importance of adding a midfield player. What is really interesting is what's going on with Enzo Fernandez and Chelsea, because it seemingly looks like Chelsea have pulled away from this, which increases Arsenal's opportunity to be able to get him. There is not going to be a bidding war, which I personally think Brighton have been waiting for. But what do you think is going to happen with this deal? I'd like to get your views and thoughts and opinions on it. By the way, make sure you scan this QR code and come follow me over on TikTok. Give that a scan now or click on the link in the description below. Now, on the situation with Enzo Fernandez, this is from Fabrizio. He says that Chelsea are back in direct talks with Benfica for Enzo Fernandez. They want the player at all costs. Chelsea would be prepared to pay the £120 million fee. The Benfica president, Rui Costa, has still no intention to accept, but Chelsea will insist to get the deal done now. David Ornstein has also updated, saying talks over a move for Enzo Fernandez are advanced. Dialogue has been taking place ever since the Chelsea's initial attempt. Chelsea are now willing to pay the clause if payment terms are right. There are no other players involved. So the rumors that there was players being offered either wasn't true or that isn't gonna progress in that manner. And I think this is a real interesting one because there's talk about if they pay 120, they've got to pay the taxes, so it actually goes up to 160 million. None of the major journalists have reported on that. It's been more from a Portuguese and European perspective. But this is a deal that Chelsea are working on hard. Chelsea are pushing for this. They have sent two delegates over to Portugal to directly face-to-face talk with Benfica. Very much what they did to land the Mihajlo Mudryk deal. They sent representation out to the training camp just to. It's a lot easier to talk face to face. Honestly, like if you've ever been involved in big business negotiations, face to face conversations are very different to Skype calls, Zoom calls, phone calls. There is when you're actually in a room with someone, it's generally a lot easier, a lot quicker, and a much better way of building a relationship as well because you don't have all the distractions of doing things that digitally does. There isn't that you don't get the same interpersonal situation as you do when you're face to face. This deal feels like it's very likely to happen, in my opinion. I just get this feeling that if they pay the release clause, I don't know what Benfica can do to stop them. The president can say, "Oh, we're not going to let him go," but there's nothing you can do about it if the release clause is hit, surely. And I don't see why Chelsea wouldn't pay it. I don't see why they're not going to pay it. It feels like it's going to happen. It feels like it's going to go through to me personally. But we'll see what happens. You know, there could be many. Maybe Chelsea they've committed verbally again to paying it. Maybe they won't in reality. They did this at the beginning of the window, and now they're back in for him again. So yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what happens with this. I want your views and I want your thoughts, Chelsea fans. Let me know right now. This here is interesting from Sky Sports. They've stated that Man United will try and go into the market for a loan deal before the deadline, depending on how serious Christian Eriksen's injury is. I think for a big signing, that looks very unlikely. And Man United fans are frustrated that we're not doing any business towards the end of this window. But maybe with the injury to Christian Eriksen, there'll be an attempt to do it. For me, I think Yuri Tillman should be the person. I think Man United should be going, listen, we can get him now. Maybe you pick him up for 10 million quid. His contract's running out soon. He's a good quality player. He's definitely better on the ball than Scott McTominay, who is more likely to come in for Christian Eriksen. He's better on the ball than Fred. Fred's a good runner. He's good at breaking up play. He's good at helping to shield the back line. But technically on the ball, Yuri Tillemans is superior. He, for me, is an individual that Man United should go and look at if Christian Eriksen's injury is going to be more than a week or two, because there's so much football in the next month. It almost feels worth it just for that. It really does. Plus, it gives you depth for the long term. But I'd like to know what Manchester United fans would like. Also, there was some news today from David Ornstein that Man United are set to sign Cardiff City's 16-year-old prospect, Gabriella Biancheri. I think that is pronounced. The medical was done over the weekend. And this is a very, very highly rated, very, very highly rated young striker. Now, this isn't going to get um, the juices flowing. This isn't going to make anybody think, oh, wow, greatest player of all time. United have signed the next Messi. I don't know how good he is personally, having not watched him play. But having read about him this morning, there was a lot of buzz about this kid. There's a lot of hype about this kid. And there's an element of excitement. We signed a certain other 16-year-old Welshman back in the late the late 80s, early 90s, and he went on to be one of the greatest Premier League players of all time. And I'm hoping history repeats itself here as a United fan. Let's see what he turns out to be. I mean, look, listen, he may he may never play for Man United. We may never see him in the first team, but there's been a lot of clubs scouting him, including City, including Liverpool, including Arsenal, and a couple of Europeans as well that wanted him. Man United have gone and got that deal done at least in January. So we'll see how this one progresses and moves forward as things move on. But Spurs fans, I want to hear from you. The situation with Pedro Porro, is the deal off? Will you get it done and over the line, as Fabrizio Romano suggests here? Arsenal fans, how high do you want the bids for Moises Caicedo to go? And Chelsea fans, let me know what you think and feel about you going in 120 million for Enzo Fernandez. We want to hear from you right now on the Football Terrace. Make sure like buttons are smashed. You're subscribed to the channel. Scan that QR code and come follow us over there on TikTok. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all soon.